I left China when I was 16, and I think China in my head stopped updating the day I left. Now, 17 years later, I'm moving back. And to do it, I quit the six-figure remote job that I spent most of my adult life working towards. Not because I hated the job, not because something dramatic happened, and not because I suddenly discovered some secret to happiness. I was comfortable. But eventually, I realized that being comfortable and being content are not always the same thing. So next week, I'm getting on a one-way flight to Chengdu with 2 suitcases and no guaranteed income to find out what happened to the country I left behind. And I'm starting with the food. I was born in Sichuan in a city called Suining, about an hour from Chengdu. Chinese was my first language. China was my first home. I went to school there, ate the food every day, and thought I understood it because I had grown up around it. But then I moved to England when I was 16. I spent the next 17 years building a completely different life. I went to college and university here. I built a career here. I started thinking in English. I became British in ways I probably didn't even notice happening. And during that time, China changed completely. When I left, nobody around me was paying for everything with their phone. The high-speed rail network wasn't what it is today. The cities, the technology, the culture, and even the way people speak have all moved on. But my memory didn't. The China I remembered stayed frozen in time. Last year, I traveled back through China as a tourist, but that was when I realized something strange. I could speak to everyone, I looked like everyone, I sounded local, but I didn't always understand what was happening around me. Sometimes someone would hand me a menu and I would recognize every character individually, but still have no idea what the actual dish was. Sometimes people would use slang that everyone else understood immediately, and I would just stand there pretending I had caught the joke. 其实我会说中文，但是有时候我觉得我只是会说中文，不一定真的懂现在的中国。I speak Chinese, but that doesn't necessarily mean I understand modern China. I speak the language, I don't quite speak the country yet. That trip made me realize how much I had missed. Not just 17 years of new buildings and technology, but 17 years of ordinary life. New foods, new slang, new habits, new ways of thinking. Even with Sichuan food, I grew up eating it, but I never really learned about it. As a child, food was just food. I didn't ask what every dish was called, where it came from, why Sichuan food uses certain flavor, or why the same dish can taste completely different from one neighborhood to another. There are things I remember eating that I can still picture, but I couldn't confidently tell you their proper names. So this time, I don't just want to eat the food, I want to understand it. This is what this channel is going to be about. I'm moving to Chengdu, close to where I was born, and I'm going to eat my way through Sichuan. The famous dishes, but also the everyday food that tourists might walk straight past. Hot pot, noodles, street stores, small family restaurants, and dishes I grew up around, but never properly appreciated. And then I want to travel further. Different cities, different provinces, different regional cuisines. Not as someone pretending to be an expert, and not as a tourist simply ticking off the most famous restaurants. I'm going as someone who is Chinese, but also has spent more than half his life away. Someone who knows enough to feel familiar, but not enough to feel completely at home. And honestly, this is the part I'm most nervous about. I don't know whether moving back will feel like coming home, or whether you'll make me realize that the home I remember no longer exists. I don't know whether I'll fit in. I don't know whether I can turn my passion into a real career. I definitely don't know whether quitting a stable job to eat my way around China is a sensible life decision. It probably isn't. But I knew that if I didn't do it now, I would keep wondering about every year. My Chinese would get a little rustier, my memories would get a little less clear, and the distance between the China I remembered and the China that actually exists would keep getting bigger. So, at almost 33, this feels like my last honest chance to go back and experience it properly. Next week, I leave Britain. 17 years of one life packed into 2 suitcases. And when I land in Chengdu, the first thing I'm going to do is eat. Some of it will be incredible. Some of it would probably be far too spicy, even for someone from Sichuan. And there will definitely be moments where I have absolutely no idea what I've ordered. But that's the point. I'm going back to rediscover the food, the culture, and the country I left when I was 16. And to find out whether it can feel like a home again. See you in Chengdu.